back to Design Talks YouTube channel. So currently we are looking at fundamentals of art, and the previous video was about the third element of art, that was forms. Hope that video was helpful for you and it was easy to understand. If you have any doubts, you can leave a comment below. In today's video we are going to practice drawing forms. That is how to convert 2D shapes into 3D forms. In previous video we already learned the theory, and in this video we are going to do the same as practice. So if you haven't watched the previous video about forms, do watch them before doing this exercise. First we are drawing a 2D circle. We can see how we can add the shading to convert it into 3D sphere. We are adding an imaginary light source here. The light is coming from this direction. The highlight of this object will be coming in this area. The intensity of the highlight will depend on the material of the object. Materials like metal and glossy materials will have sharp highlights, and other materials like rubber, which has matte finish, the highlight will be spread over it. Then this next portion receives some light, but it does not receive light like highlight. This portion will be direct light. And this area is mid-tone, that is, it has the original color of the object. And all the remaining area, that is the other half of the object which do not receive any light, is the co-shadow. And the area where the shadow of the sphere falls on the surface, it is called cast shadow. Now we are not using any colors, we are using grayscale, that is, the light from the light source also gets hit on the surrounding surface, that is, if there is any wall or any other surface here near this object, the lights get hit on that wall and it gets reflected back to the main object, and thus creates a reflected light on the object. This reflected light will be the same color of this wall or surface from where the light is reflected. We have also learned about this same principles in the previous video in detail. So now we can try how to shade this. So for giving this 3D illusion, we are using different values of color or different values. We will be learning about values in our next video. We are doing this video as a continuous series, so do watch them regularly and continuously so that you can learn each and every element of art. You can try drawing cube and giving the shading according to an imaginary light source, and try drawing on any other forms like cylinder, cone, etc. By doing this practice, we will be able to draw any basic forms according to the given light, and later we can practice drawing complex shapes by joining these simple forms. After learning how to draw and shade simple shapes separately, now we can try a group of 2 or 3 objects together so that we can understand how the reflected light reacts when it's reflected between these objects. For that, I have taken a reference image of 3 simple objects from the Pinterest. I am also adding more images like this in the description so that you can download it from there and try drawing it and practice more. Now I am drawing this on top of the reference image itself so you can understand easily. Here we can observe that the light is coming from the right top corner of this image. We can know this by looking at the shadows. So all these objects or any object placed in this area will receive light from this particular area. So the shading of any object here will have lighter shade on the right side and darker shadows on the left side. For shading the cylinder, I have drawn through 2 contour lines. So the right portion of the cylinder will receive more light and it will be lighter shade, and the middle portion will receive some light and it will be mid-tone, and the left side will receive no light and it will be shadow. Similarly, we can try drawing this cube. Since the sides of the cube is plain surface, it will be easier for shading the cube. Each side will have each separate values. The top side here receives more light, so it will be direct light, and the right side of the cube here receives some light and it will be mid-tone, and this side towards the left will receive less light, does not receive much light, and it will be the shadow. The shading of the sphere is same as we have done before. There is no change. Now we have seen direct light, mid-tone and core shadows. Now we can mark the cast shadow. Cast shadow is the shadow caused by an object on the surface or on another object. The cast shadow of the sphere is cast directly to the surface below it, and it has the shape of the sphere itself. But the cast shadow of the cube is cast, some shadow is cast on the cylinder and some falls on the surface below it. So there is a slight angle change where it meets the cylinder. The shadow of the cylinder also falls directly to the surface below it. Now we can mark the reflected light. I am marking it with green color. Here you can see that some portion of the sphere, and here like some portion of this cube and the cylinder receives light from the surroundings. The light from the light source hits the sphere and it is reflected back to the cylinder, thus creating the reflected light in the cylinder. And for the cube, the light hits the surface below it and it is reflected back to one side of the cube, and for the sphere also it is reflected from the surface below it. So by joining all these lights and reflected lights, we will be able to create the 3D form of any 2D object. So now we can try drawing this onto our artboard by looking at this reference. So do try drawing this yourself and let me know your result. Also post your artworks and tag us at Design Talks and Adira Arts so that I can see your artworks and make suggestions if there is any mistake. And I can also share your artwork so that others can also see your artworks and get inspired. Similarly, try drawing as many shapes and forms as possible. Try joining two or more forms and creating the shadows from different sources of light, and try drawing two or more cylinders, because joining two cylinders we get the shape of hands, and later we will be using these simple shapes to create portraits and characters. So hope this video was helpful for you. Comment below if you have any doubts or suggestions. See you in the next video. Next video will be about values. Have a nice day. Bye.